carves the road like the new Prelude from Honda.
When you're out street hiking, you better know how to read the terrain. Do your best to preserve the wildlife, because street hikers don't just walk, they hike.
Fresh shoes, Joe.
Jim, we talked about the outstanding play of Chris Webber. Now here he's playing against Davis. Look at the fake on Christian Leitner. Leitner looks around to see where Webber has thrown the ball, except those great powerful hands inside by Webber get the shot off. He's back in the game now. Took that little rest. He's got two fouls on him.
Backcourt scoring, a 10-point edge for Duke. Hurley with 10 points. Same goes for Leitner. It's the largest lead for the Blue Devils, 11.
Well, they're going to give Davis a shot. He didn't mind taking it from there.
And he had 1 foot inside the line. That's a 2-pointer. 13-point advantage for Duke.
Now we'll see another part of the maturation process for this Michigan team. They can see the score on the clock, see how quickly they try to bring it back, or if they stay with their game plan. Good overplay and a foul.
Ray Jackson had the basketball in his hands. Another one of the fabulous freshmen. He's out of Austin, Texas. There's a look at him, number 21. Third foul against Grant Hill, and he sits, replaced by Antonio Lang. As we look at the teams that have been able to repeat as national champions, last performed by UCLA when they had that stretch. 73.
Oh, great tap that time by Webber. From not the inside position, came right across that lane.
Webber has half the points for Michigan. He has 10 of their 20. And Hurley with the left hand.
Webber getting a piece of it on the inside.
Michigan basketball off Hurley.
Now when you look at this Duke team, and Grant Hill on the bench, Grant had 19 last year against Michigan, a good offensive day for him. Somehow Duke has got to figure out a way to get Leitner the ball down in low, because they don't have a lot of scoring power coming from the Davis and Lang positions.
Jimmy King has come in to replace Michael Talley. And look out. Leitner gets it over on a wing, and Hurley will take the jumper.
Now there again, a matter of experience. Leitner saw nobody there to help out, got down court on defense. Michigan didn't adjust.
Billy, there are 4 freshmen on the floor now for Michigan, and James Bosco, a junior.
And they do not have a point guard on the floor. And Hurley will take advantage of this.
King missing on the 3. Webber fighting for it. But they say it's no foul on the play. It was off the hands of Webber.
That Webber is some kind of competitor.
You know, Webber considered going to Duke. It was about his 3rd choice, he said.
Now, let's see what happens here. King on Hurley, and Hurley will be on King. And without Rose in the game, without Talley in the game, Michigan really lacking for the point guard spot.
What a tip by Brian Davis. Had the English on it also, and it's a 15-point advantage. Davis with 8.
Now Mike Krzyzewski going for the kill here. He wants his team out pressing. I don't blame him, because again, as I said, King not used to playing at the point guard spot against a defender as tough as Hurley.
Bosco 3-pointer. Leitner underneath.
And defensive balance a problem.
Traveling.
You know, Jim, I think that part of the floor is a little slick down there. Remember when Juwan Howard slipped on Leitner?
Totally lost footing and slipped on his back.
And that time Thomas Hill, in order to make his move, slipped on his first step. You see Duke picking up early.
5:30 remaining in the first half. Duke 15-point lead.
1-2-1-1 press. You don't want to pick the ball up that in the corner. Charge.
And another charge. Leitner drawing the charge for the 2nd time in the game. The 3rd by Duke in the half. Going against Ray Jackson.
And that again is part of a freshman learning how to play the game. You might get by with that in the playground. You might just go over people in high school, but in college ball, the man's going to be there to draw the charge.
Steve Fisher in practice yesterday, Billy, was telling his team, guys, this team will take charges like no one you've ever seen. You can't just drive absent-mindedly. Underneath is Lang.
Blocked.
Oh, what a block by Weber.
2 in a row.
Yeah. 3 on 2. Tipped away by Marty Clark. Tries to make the save, but right back to Michigan. King on the run. Davis for Duke.
Leitner a little tired now. Weber again.
Oh. Well, foul can't be on Weber.
And you see Weber telling his club, calm down. He hasn't been able to get in the offense because his team is coming down and taking quick shots.
Jackson got him with the body. His second. Here's the previous trip where Weber had a couple of blocks against Lang.
And Lang is a great leaper. You see Weber going right there, timing them beautifully. Now, this young man has 2 fouls on him. He not only blocked 2 in a row, the second one he captured and gave the outlet pass. Look at that intensity in his eyes.
Marty Clark to shoot 2. Sophomore from Illinois.
All business right there.
Number 5, Jalen Rose.
I'll bet you this time down at 4 now. Steve Fisher taking a big gamble here. 4:44 to go in the half. Rose comes back in with 3 fouls on him. You know that he has a propensity to want to drive down that lane, do good at drawing charges. He's got to be careful. But the object here is going to have Rose get the ball down inside to Weber a time or 2.
Clark hits 2. And the largest lead of the game now at 17 points.
Let's see if they don't try to get this ball to Weber, son. They should.
Eric Meek working on Juwan Howard. 2 freshmen. In the corner, King with a 3.
And he's going to be more comfortable in the game now because Rose will be able to handle the ball.
That's Michigan's second field goal in the last 6 minutes. 3-pointer.
With Leitner out of there, Hurley saying, hey, who do I go to score? Good defense.
Jalen Rose with the 3 fouls. He stops the dribble. Cross court to Voskuhl. 3-pointer. Back-to-back for Michigan.
Michigan's best 3-point shooter. Mike Krzyzewski hurting right now. He's got Leitner on the bench. He's got Grant Hill on the bench. And when you look at this club, you just say, hey, there's not a lot of scoring on the floor. They go to the box. Hurley outside all alone. Another block by Weber.
Picked up by Lang, and another block, and another play by Howard.
Tough call there by the official. Duke had cleared out. Tough call.
Let's check it out, Billy. Foul called on Juwan Howard. Watch him make this play.
Good 2-handed rebound. Oh, I don't know if I don't even know if that was intentional. I thought he just came back in a direction and Lang kind of walked into it. Takes away an awful lot of momentum for the Michigan club.
Second against Juwan Howard. And look at this, Steve Fisher.
This is Michigan. We got great fans. Cheer, don't throw on the floor.
He said, we've got great fans. Cheer, but don't throw things on the floor.
And now he goes to tell the official one of the reasons that they're throwing it on the floor is you made the bad call. Handling himself with a lot of class.
And I'll tell you what, Dick Paparo calls an official timeout to talk with the 2 coaches. We'll join him. Timeout. Duke up by 11.
What are you doing here in New York?
Practicing my new dunk with my new shoes, Reebok Omni-Zones.
Reebok Omni-Zones?
Yeah, very lightweight, which is key for this jam.
Oh, yeah? Which jam?
The King Kong jam.
Ready when you are, 3.
Now on video for a limited.
Here, Juwan Howard of Michigan. would like to give the Heisman to the officials. A little forearm move after being called for a foul on the rebound.
Well, maybe if he had used the stiff arm instead of the elbow arm, maybe he'd been all right. Michigan goes to the zone now. They've got foul trouble. Nice move by Steve Fisher.
There's Howard with another rebound. He's got 7 rebounds, Jawan Howard.
And Duke goes to the zone as well.
Skip it over to Voskuhl.
Voskuhl, a pretty good standstill jump shooter from out there.
King, who's hit one of these, and now 3 in a row from three-point range for the Wolverines to run off 9 unanswered.
Show you what kind of player Jimmy King is. There you can see the zone for Michigan. 2-3, matching up. Good defense.
Antonio Lang pull up.
Lang has been trying to get off shots down around the glass. Been getting a block, so he moves out to take the little jumper. They really are surrounding this zone with 3 pretty good jump shooters. Voskuhl being one of them.
That was a 2 short, and Hill has it.
A little bit of impatience there.
Duke with 4 starters on the floor, plus Antonio Lang. Grant Hill is on the bench with 3 fouls.
Michigan goes back to their man-to-man.
Brian Davis. And that should have been, was that I guess it's a 2. Leitner and Hurley both signaled that it was a 3, but it's a 2. Foot was on the line.
See Jimmy King going way down the corner. Voskuhl on one wing, King on the other. Good power game down inside.
Look out! Oh! Jimmy King off the pass from Jalen Rhodes.
Right behind the zone. Now Jimmy King at 6'4" went above the crowd. He won the dunking contest in the McDonald All-American game, so you know he can get off the floor. Oh, Leitner foul. Sure.
They call it on Leitner. His second.
I would say Duke is cracking a little bit, Jim, not the young Michigan players. Boy, that was a beautifully executed play. And you'll notice it goes right over Christian Leitner. Jimmy King coming all the way from the corner. Duke still with a commanding 10-point lead with Grant Hill on the bench. Now Leitner back on the bench. Cherokee Parks on the bench. So certainly a little concern.
Let's see if Michigan can get it out of a double-digit deficit in the game's last minute of the first half.
I would imagine Bobby Hurley with 51 seconds now is going to occupy the clock. And although they will have to turn it over with 6 seconds differential here, Mike Krzyzewski'd like to use some clock.
Howard stepped on the line. 10-point Duke advantage.
And the way Duke does this, they go to their own form of a 4 corners and then break 4 men down inside, giving Hurley the ball at the top of the key.
5-second differential, game clock to shot clock.
And if I were Michigan, I'd go into the zone again and not let Hurley penetrate with the dribble.
Five-second differential, 15 on the shot clock.
But Michigan showing zone.
Thomas Hill baseline jumper.
Beautiful shot.
4 for Hill. Michael Talley.
Oh, what a drive. What a drive.
Right at the buzzer. And add 2 to the tally of Michigan.
Jim Talley on a great drive here, weaved right on through some very good defenders. By Davis, by Hurley with the crossover. Down inside over the top of Lang, just a great play.
Really, it took you back 10 years to Danny Ainge in the tournament. Remember that one?
Brigham Young
against Notre Dame. Well, that's the end of the first half with the score. Duke 43, Michigan 33. Pat O'Brien along with At the Half after this message and a word from your local station.
Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, the cars more people depend on. Sinex Ultra Fine Mist, the nasal spray that goes up and stays up. And by the people at Nike, who encourage you to just do it.
Well, some would rather be indoors on a day like this, but if you still want to be playing golf. Duke leading by 10 over Michigan at halftime. And Billy, we said at the start, Michigan is a team that can be very exciting at times and dunk you right out of the gymnasium.
Well, you can. You can see Duke's back line playing his zone. Jalen Rose with the ball out in the top. Jimmy King, who had the great first half. Now watch how King breaks behind the zone. Jalen Rose puts that lob way up in the air, and King is going to go ahead and just dunk it on through. Excellent execution here by Michigan. Look at Leitner, doesn't see him coming in behind. The perfect pass, and King, with his ability to go in the air, puts it right through.
This is a team that had 41 dunks in its first 4 games, but the numbers, as Duke leads by 10, Michigan with a 1 rebound edge, very even. 6 by Weber, 7 by Howard to lead the Wolverines in rebounding. Leitner is the top rebounder for Duke with 5.
You can see points over turnovers. Duke, with that experience, getting an advantage on Michigan.
Free throws, Michigan 10 out of 11.
That's the other way around, Jim. Duke, again, getting a big advantage with free throws with 10 out of 11.
What about the second half of this game? It was 17 at one time for Duke. Now it's 10.
Well, one of the things for Duke, they played an awful lot of that first half, Jim, without their scoring punch, Grant Hill and Christian Leitner in the game at the same time. And that took away from their opportunity to put up more points on the board. One of the things I was very impressed with, however, is the fact that the Michigan kids did not back down. This game, from an intensity standpoint, is going to change a lot here in the second half. One of the things that is somewhat unusual, each coach has a system. Steve Fisher has his own shot ratings. You can see there, a 4 is a layup, a 3 an open shot, 2 fair shot, 1 a bad shot. You can see, even though they've had 7 shots for layups, they've only scored 6 points off it. So they've been getting most of their points on the perimeter.
The national champs have the basketball to start the second half.
Straight man-to-man, same kind of matchup we started the game. I think Duke ought to get that ball to Grant Hill to try to get Rose out of the game, and there they go. Right off the bat, going into Rose, who's got 3 fouls on him.
And Hurley gets his 4th assist. Hurley in the first half, 12 points. Now 4 assists, no turnovers out of the point position.
Leitner going all the way out on Howard. Howard, a pretty good ball handler for a big man, and Leitner, of course, a good defender, even that far from the basket.
Talley over Hurley and Hill. Ball is tipped.
Not a good pass by Grant Hill.
Tried to save it. Here's Jalen Rose.
Lob.
Pull up. Soft touch. Jalen Rose.
He saw Leitner back there and looked out of the corner of his eye. Leitner was going to make sure that Weber didn't get the lob, so it was a good job by Rose to pull up.
Rose averages 18. Those were his first 2 points of the game.
Kind of interesting, Jim, you talk about averaging. Rose and Weber averaging exactly the same amount coming into this ball game. The other day was the first time that Weber has ever played in a game when one of his teammates scored more points than he did, dating all the way back to 8th grade.
Well, a moment ago, Grant Hill hit a jumper. Here's Bosco. That's a 2. Yes, Billy, the game against Chicago State.
Right.
Rose led in scoring. And Weber hasn't seen that happen for, well, like I said, 8th grade, when they knew each other, in fact. There's an open man, and Grant Hill has 3 buckets to start the second half.
If you're going to play against a Duke team, you have got to prevent the dribble penetration of a Bobby Hurley. Talley did not do a good job that time, because Hurley will really dribble into that middle and hit the open man.
Leitner tipped it over to Bosco.
Oh, that's a foul on Thomas Hill. No call.
Duke on the break. Hurley hit by Talley.
Bosco driving down the lane, gets shoved right here and knocked to the ground. No call made whatsoever. Without question, he gets fouled. No call made. Good break for Duke.
Now, well, that was Bosco out of control. The foul was on Talley.
Well, if you're Steve Fisher, you're thinking about Jimmy King coming back into the ball game now, and probably going to take Talley out of there, with Rose having only 3 on him, but looking like he's much better in control of his game for the second half.
Bobby Hurley, 1 of 2. Hurley, the point guard on the gold medal winning World University team, along with Albert Cheney and others. And a foul away from the ball on Hurley.
And Jim, it is right. King is coming in the game. Let's see if he is coming in for tally. Yeah, it's a nice move on Steve Fisher's part, because King had that real good first half. He's got Rose, who can now move back to the point. And King showed that he could play Bobby Hurley defensively, and he'll probably stay with that matchup.
Howard leaning and misusing the glass that time. The right idea.
Hurley will have real problems if King goes down inside.
Rose gives it up inside to Weber. Bypassed the three and took the sure two.
Nice look by Rose. But Jim, you're exactly on it. He looked like he was going to shoot that ball. Leitner relaxed to get in defensive position for the rebound. Weber held his ground, and Rose hit him right on the money.
Walk. Traveling. 10th turnover against Duke.
Now just think about the fellas that have guarded Christian Leitner. And we go back, we talk about his big games against big people. Shaquille O'Neal. Big people just haven't been able to handle him on the outside. But Howard has done a nice job sitting down defensively when Leitner moves out to the top.
Jimmy King skying in and out. Robbed that time. Here comes Duke. Early up the middle. It's to Trailer Hill. Bobby from the corner. Bosco high for the rebound.
Game's settling down a little bit now.
Mr. Texas basketball, Jimmy King down to the corner to Bosco, and another charge.
Some good defense being played on both ends of the floor. Duke, of course, perfectly drilled in defensive skills, and there you're going to see. Holding the feet, moving the feet perfectly to use that body instead of reaching in with the hands. Drawing the charge is Thomas Hill.
4 times in this game they've drawn the charge now against Michigan.
Solid screen coming up here by Christian Leitner. Nice little hedge that time by Howard to prevent Hurley from going around.
Leitner now driving and suspended in air for a while. Good move by Leitner. He has 12.
That might have been better than a good move, Jim. That's a great move inside because Weber came over for the block. He went by 2 of them.
And Hill makes the defensive play for the 2nd straight trip. Under to Leitner. Foul on Bosco.
And Christian Leitner is going to really show a fine move here. Goes by Howard, and I've been talking about how good a job Howard's been doing all day defensively. And there Leitner double pumps it. A la a big Michael Jordan here. Double pumps, brings it back down, and then lays it up. Great shot.
Television timeout. Duke leading by 13.
It's wintertime at your Chevy Geo dealer. A great time to get big deals on Chevy.
Forget the limits of ordinary basketball shoes. You've entered the weightless environment of the Nike Flight Dimension. Examine, if you will, Scottie Pippen, about to discover the power of his Nike Air Flight shoes by way of a time warp. And so, the laws of ordinary basketball are rewritten in the higher court of the Flight Dimension.
Son, you could make hundreds of dollars a year in professional basketball.
When life turns up the heat.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. I'm Jeff Green. There's Degree Antiperspirant. Degree's body heat activated.
1 more minute.
To release extra protection.
Jeff?
Hi. Degree, your body heat turns it on.
In Division I AA, it's settled on the field. The battle for the national title. The Division I AA Football Championship next Saturday.
Well, doubleheader day tomorrow on CBS and early. Most of you will see Dallas against Philadelphia. What a critical game that one is. Others will see Detroit against Green Bay, the Rams against Minnesota. And in the back half of the doubleheader, the Giants against the Redskins. Some will watch Phoenix at Denver. It all starts with the NFL today, 12:30 Eastern time here on CBS. Here's Grant Hill for Duke with the ball with a 13-point lead. Brian Davis to the hole. And does not get the generous roll. Behind the back save by Michigan.
But Davis showing a lot more interest in taking over offensively today. He has that capacity to drive. We saw him make that great three-point play against Vegas last year.
The last minute.
Yep.
King driving to the hole, cutting to the hole, pass by Weber with the assist.
You can see King is taking Bobby Hurley down inside.
Thomas Hill posting up King, right on the block. Ball is tipped by Voskuhl, but retrieved by Hill.
Kind of interesting how many men in this game can post you up. Rose and King, in addition to the big guys, can post you up for Michigan. And of course, both Hills and Davis can post you up for
play
Duke.
By Jalen Rose.
Great passer. That young man is almost 6'8". Just a freshman, sees the open court, played on 2 state championship teams here in the state of Michigan.
Hurley gives it up. Now Grant Hill.
Nice job by Voskuhl on Grant Hill.
In the lane, Grant Hill dunks at the other end.
Again, the dribble penetration by Bobby Hurley. He's getting down so low when he dribbles that nobody from Michigan get a hand on it.
11 for Grant Hill, 8 in the second half.
Some tough matchup problems here for both teams. Jump hook. Yep. Oh. See, he gives that shot away, Jim. He makes up his mind. It's predetermined. He's got to take that jump hook off the pass.
Really missing the 3. It made that same kind of shot, pull up 3 in the first half and was fouled for a 4-point play. Here's Weber showing some nifty ball handling over to King. Subs for Michigan. Eric Riley, the 7-footer, comes in with Michael Talley.
You know, Jim, there have been a lot of substitutions today because the guys are very athletic on both teams and playing awful hard. One guy who has not come out is Bobby Hurley. Shades of the Final Four.
Played all 80 minutes
Never
at
came
Indianapolis.
Never came out against some outstanding players in both games.
Greg Anthony and Adonis Jordan. Jalen Rose, who seems to be getting on track. Not this time. Talley underneath. Little guys fighting for it, and on the line was Hurley.
Notice Hurley came from down underneath to steal that ball from the inside against Talley. The chop coming from the top, picks up a foul, come underneath, you slap the ball away.
Antonio Lang comes in for Grant Hill.
And Weber just put him on his arms and carried him with him in the lane.
Christian Leitner just stripped it from Rose.
Duke with the numbers here.
Lang goes high. Charge against Lang. Eric Riley had the position. That's 3 on Lang. See this guy, Riley? He was a high school teammate in basketball at St. Joseph's High School in Cleveland with Desmond Howard.
The football player. I'm going to give you a football trivia.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it involves Duke. They had something in connection with Michigan in football. What is it? Both went to the Rose Bowl. Duke.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Duke 50 years of there. Weber.
Yep, only Rose Bowl played on the East Coast.
That's right. Duke lost. Oregon State beat them. That's right.
Weber was 16.
Can he spin and quickly go to the basket or not?
He certainly can, and Hurley and Duke with an 11-point lead. Duke basketball out of bounds. Now, at the conclusion of this game, Billy and I will select the Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet donates a check for $1,000 to the General Scholarship Fund of each school.
Michigan student body standing up right now. Key part in this ball game. Duke is having a battle every step of the way.
Three-pointer, Bobby Hurley. Ooh, in and out. And that's off Duke.
Weber again going up. Thomas Hill thought he had one. Good step out by Lang.
Underneath again, Weber! They almost dunked it right out of the basket.
And Weber looking back at Christian Laettner like, what did you expect out of me? I can play this game as well. Laettner looking over the official as if he got pushed, but right now, the Michigan kids are taking it to him. Thomas Hill got hit in the eye.
And the official spotted it and stopped the action. An injury stoppage, and Billy, for just a second, it looked like Weber's dunk might come right back out of the cylinder. And he got positioned underneath.
Well, you can see he's being guarded by Laettner. Now, we're not talking about any chopped liver he's playing against, and he did not foul on that play whatsoever. It looked like he almost brought it back up. You're right.
They've got it down to single digits. Duke by 9. Now there's your score, 56-47, 11:43 to go. The top 10 this week. Duke #1, Arizona right behind. Two teams from the West, in fact, 2-3. Ohio State Big Ten at 4. Carolina looking good. Oklahoma State having won the preseason NIT. UConn at 8. And Utah, #10, but lost this week to Utah State.
Arizona going down to New Mexico tonight. Remember when they were #1, went down there and got upset a couple years ago. Riley on Laettner. Nothing to do. Good double team help by Vasco. Michigan does a nice job on that. You get the ball in the post and they double team from the opposite side.
2 on the shot clock. I don't think Duke knows it.
Good defense by Michigan all the way around. Duke did what they wanted to. They got the ball to Laettner, but they never did recognize that the shot clock was working down on them because they didn't have the full 45. With Hill's injury, they had already used up about 15 seconds on the 45.
Marty Clark defending on Rose. They shoot the jumper over.
Michigan team now has the look that they think they can win this basketball game.
They've been down by 17 in this game. It's now 7.
Duke really having trouble finding somebody to score with the 2 Hills out of the ball game. See, and Eric Riley's playing Laettner right now, so Laettner's been hit by 2 good defenders today, having to work, and it's kind of wearing him down a little.
Lang takes the baseline. Foul. Nope. Ball off of Weber. He knocked it away.
Come the 2 Hills back into the game now.
Thomas
for Clark and Lang.
Yep. Thomas and Grant come in. Grant Hill having a big second half. Duke has gone 4 minutes without scoring. Look at the shot clock. Davis will beat it easily and missed the jumper. Jalen Rose underneath.
He sees Weber down there, wanted to throw the lob to him even from full length of the court.
Bosco. To cut it to 5. And a timeout called by Duke.
CBS Sports coverage of the road to the Final Four is sponsored by Charles Schwab, helping investors help themselves. Extra strength Denorex shampoo with conditioners, the dandruff shampoo you can feel working. And by Smooth Operator wet dry razors from Panasonic, electric razors used with water and lather.
Jim Nance along with Billy Packer. The freshmen of Michigan have cut it now to 5 as we see the game summary. Hurley 13 and 6. Weber with 18 to lead Michigan. Laettner has turned it over 5 times. Blue Devils with the basketball.
And Michigan comes out in the zone just to give a little different look. Bigger and Krzyzewski had set up something special against the man-to-man. They go to the 2-3 zone.
Leaves Thomas Hill open. Leitner tried to tip it, but Weber got higher.
And Weber smiles as he takes that one away from Leitner. He may be winning the will of the minds a little bit here, you know?
Well, good denying by Davis for the steal.
But he steps out of bounds. He double dribbled. Well, he would. You know, I really think the Michigan kids are getting the better of it mentally. Now, there was a case, Davis had an opportunity to get the ball up court. They had the numbers for the fast break, but he was so anxious to say a little something to Weber that he let it get away from him. We thought the Duke experience would reign supreme today.
King up high. Another tip by Riley. Riley or Weber, they both were there.
Got Riley on Leitner. Bad pass.
Turnover. Michigan has the numbers. Here's Talley. Michigan within one.
Jim, you could feel this coming. The Michigan kids all of a sudden looked at that scoreboard and said, hey, we can beat this club.
Another steal. The Wolverines can take the lead from the #1 team in the country.
There's Weber.
Chris Weber and Michigan move in front. Leitner silences him with a three.
Hey, but Jim, that's a three with nobody under the basket. That's a temporary answer.
The Duke had gone almost 6.5 minutes without scoring. Weber left-handed.
Draws the foul. He knew he'd get the shot blocked if he went for the traditional shot, so he just tried to draw the foul. Almost made that one. That's number 3 on Leitner. And how bad does Duke miss Cherokee Parks today? Well, Leitner gets no rest. He's got to stay out on the floor. Steve Fisher has done a nice job. Now he's going to come back with Howard. Riley gave him some excellent minutes playing Leitner.
There's Parks out with the ankle sprain, and Billy, trainer Max Crowder is not here at this game. This would have been his 900th straight game on the bench for Duke, and Max has an operation coming up this week. All of us at CBS Sports want to wish him our best. Best wishes to Max and his family. Weber with this free throw coming up can tie the game with 7:41 remaining.
And Howard was going to come in for Weber. Steve Fisher wanting to give Weber a rest down the stretch here. Keep Riley in the ball game. Jalen Rose is now playing a forward spot. He stayed out of foul trouble ever since those 3 that he picked up in the first half. Pretty nice defense by Weber on Grant Hill.
Leitner really wants it. He's been calling for it. Yep.
Boy, super play by the All-American. He makes the three-point shot, then goes and posts up down low.
He has 17, Duke by 3.
He's some kind of competitor, isn't he?
Biggest heart in college basketball. Rose on the drive. It's a kid who was really out of it in the first half with 3 personal fouls, picking up confidence.
You can see Leitner now walking down the court. He is really tired. Nobody inside right now for Duke. Grant Hill wanted the lob.
Grant Hill, strong second half continues. 10 in the half, 13 in the game.
Grant Hill had made a move as if he was going for the lob and then had to pull back. It's a nice move on his part. Leitner down there with Weber again. Be a good idea to go into him.
The three. Oh, gets the bounce to tie it.
Boy, Jimmy King has come off the bench, really exploding.
13 off the bench for King. Again, Leitner, wide-eyed and wanting it, and he'll go to the line. Jim Nantz along with Billy Packer, Crisler Arena. Crowd just going crazy here as Michigan has fought back from 17 down in the first half to tie the national champions and #1 ranked Duke.
You know, Jim, these two teams have had some of the great traditional non-conference battles of all time. Back in '64, both teams having great clubs. Cassie Russell's clubs here at, again, Duke. And Duke came up here to Ann Arbor and lost. And then remember in '64 in Kansas City, they met again in the same season with Mullins and crew beating Cassie Russell's club 90-91 in the semifinals. So during that period of time, they battled throughout the Cassie Russell, Mullen, and Jack Marin years.
Leitner with only his second miss of the season. Well, they had an overtime game here 2 years ago. Recent history.
Right, 113, 108. Michigan winning that game. That's the second most points ever scored against a Duke team in a losing contest.
One-point lead for #1, 64-63 Duke.
Talley quick enough. Oh, Leitner.
Talley lost control of it first. Leitner was there.
Smart move. He saw Riley on him. No way he's going to get that shot off.
Oh, Jalen Rose saw the pass coming. Cross court to Thomas Hill. He loves to go end to end. Blocking foul against Duke.
And Rose still has only 3 fouls, Jim. You remember, he had 3 in that first half.
It's now 4 on Grant Hill. 5:21 to go. 5:21.
Jim, Mike Swanson made a good point to me, and our outstanding stat man said that if a man steps in the lane, I was wrong on this, but if a man steps in a lane, then no foul shot is counted as attempted. So on that streak that Davis had some time back, it did not count against it. And you can see what it's going to mean for Duke with Grant Hill going out. This has been a problem for them all day long. When they miss Hill, they really haven't gotten scoring from any other place.
Hill goes out, Lang comes in, and Weber, after a quick breather, is back, replacing Riley. And now Rose can put the Wolverines ahead by 1.
And Jim, look out on the floor. 4 of the 5 Fab Frosh are in the game now for Michigan, going down the stretch. Only Talley, a junior, is out on the floor for Michigan. All the rest are freshmen. Nice defense.
Early draws the foul on Talley.
Boy, it was pretty good defense.
Now the Fab 5 and the top 4 you see on that list are on the floor right now. Weber, Rose, Howard, and King. Joined by Michael Talley, just slapped with the foul. Weber has led the way today with 22 points. 4 freshmen trying to overtake the national champions.
Jim, on the basis of this game alone, we've had people tab the outstanding freshman recruiting class for the last number of years. You know, Indiana a couple of years ago, that was going to be the greatest freshman class of all time. North Carolina last year. In my opinion, there is no comparison between those classes and this group right here as far as the way these fellas have come on the scene. They're mature players. They're very gifted players, and they play extremely well together.
That ties it.
Now what Weber's asking for is to tell Leitner to keep the ball, his hands off the ball as it comes through.
Over aggressiveness on Hurley in the backcourt, his second, team foul number 5 against Duke.
You see, Talley's strong enough to accept Hurley. Kept the ball very well protected there. Bobby Hurley has not forced Michigan to turn it over much in the backcourt. It's a very good ball handling team. Rose can handle it. Talley can handle it. King does a nice job with it. And of course, the big men catch the ball extremely well.
We're under 5 minutes with the game tied at 65. Talley baseline.
Not a good shot.
Forced that one for sure. And Howard lets him reset.
Rose looking for Weber.
And Rose.
He's 6'8". He's tough to match up with when he goes inside.
All 10 of his points in the second half. Now Talley again. His fourth, Billy. That's 4 on Talley.
Well, probably not as big a loss if Talley goes out of there, whereas as opposed to Duke losing Grant Hill, because Michigan a little deeper, at least at that spot.
That's the 6th against Michigan. Billy, obviously today, seeing this game, you've learned something about Michigan. What about Duke? Have you learned something about the Blue Devils today?
Well, one of the things that we're seeing is that Cherokee Parks is going to be very critical to this team. And of course, he didn't play today, which is a big loss for Duke. The reason I say he's critical is that they'll face teams that have a lot of power, and you can't ask Christian Laettner to do it all by himself down inside.
We're seeing that today.
Yep. I mean, he's been double teamed all day long with big people.
Howard,
big people.
Yep, Howard and Weber leaning on him at all times. And Howard leaning a little too forcefully. And that's the 7th team foul. That'll put Laettner at the line for a 1-and-1.
Let's see, in the case of Steve Fisher, he can come back with Riley. I mean, he can use a lot of fouls down in low.
1-and-1 for Laettner. Riley to return for Juwan Howard.
And we can see that Eric MICH for Duke maybe not quite ready for this type of competition this early. In time, yes, maybe, but not today.
Howard with 3 fouls sits. And now the Final Four MVP shoots a 1-and-1.
Set a record 12 for 12 in that game against Kansas in the Final Four from the foul line.
Very fatigued coming off that big game against UNLV where he hit 2 free throws, the winning points in that game also. 20 for Laettner in this one to tie the game 67-all.
Gives Duke a chance to press. Was effective in the first half with the press.
Jalen Rose in the middle. Rose over Laettner.
As I said in the first half, this is a very difficult team to press because they have so many good ball handlers. Tough. Not there. Not there. Good job by Bosco.
He slapped it away to his teammate Weber.
Mike Krzyzewski realizing he's got to come back with Grant Hill.
.330 remaining. Michigan leading by 2. Bosco after stopping his dribble. And Hill with a foul. Bumped him.
Well, with a man that far away in no position to take a shot was probably a foolish foul by Thomas.
The television timeout with 3:31 remaining.
It's on the NFL Today for a special look at the Eagles' league-leading defense. Is it the best ever? Terry Bradshaw has a quarterback-to-quarterback chat with Houston's Warren Moon, and we'll have all the latest playoff news tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern on the NFL Today.
Jim Nantz and Billy Packer, let's reset it for you. Michigan has possession and a 2-point lead. 3 timeouts, all of them remaining for the Wolverines. Duke has already burned 1 of their timeouts. Possession arrow belongs to Michigan as well. Grant Hill has 4 fouls, but is on the floor. Hill and Hill, Hurley, Davis, and Laettner, the starters for Duke.
Jimmy King and Hurley. Boy, that was a tough call right over there. Great job by Bobby Hurley. And King should have known he's got Hurley. He ought to give the ball and let Rose be the primary ball handler the rest of the way. Don't challenge a defender as smart as Bobby Hurley. There's that double team on Laettner.
Wide open Davis 3-pointer. Riley has it for Michigan.
See, if King doesn't occupy the ball with a dribble, then Hurley has to play him down low, where King has a big advantage on him both size-wise and his ability to go up in the air. Hurley stuck with no man right now.
Jalen Rose short. Bosco dumps it inside. Riley, the ball was tipped by Leitner, but a foul called against the Devils.
Good hustle by Leitner, but that was some catch by Riley, because he actually had his back turned and was headed to the basket for a potential rebound.
They called it on Leitner, Billy. He has 4 now.
Yep. Jim, I talked about great games. You can see Christian Leitner really is tired. They haven't been able to get any rotation with their big men, with Parks injured and Meek not quite ready for this kind of a game. But they played an overtime game back in '65. I mentioned the great Duke-Cassie-Russell matchups. That was Russell's senior year. Duke beat him in overtime 109-93 with Jack Marin having a great game. Vic Bubas called that the greatest comeback that the Duke team ever had for him. And that year, you often wonder, did Cassie make it in his senior year to the Final Four? No, they were beaten by the great Kentucky team, Rups Runts, that eventually beat Duke in the semifinals.
Riley making 1 of 2. Michigan with its largest lead. A 3-point advantage with 2:35 to go.
I'd say get the ball to Grant Hill. He's rested.
Here he is. And Bosco slapped him. His third. 1-1.
Good move by Bobby Hurley. Grant Hill is the most rested of the players on the floor for Duke right now. He hasn't had much of a production today because of the fact that he's been on the bench a lot with the foul problems. But you know how gifted he is as a scorer.
Now the sophomore from Reston, Virginia will shoot a 1-and-1. Something we saw as the season progressed his freshman year. He just got better seemingly every week from the line. Grant Hill.
Well, and remember the game against Vegas, not only did he play well offensively, but he did a great job on Stacey Augmon.
Riley rips the rebound. 1 of 2 for Hill. It's a 2-point Wolverine lead. And a timeout called by Weber. Leaving Michigan with 2. 2-point lead, Michigan.
There's something out there. It started in the street.
Well, Michigan with the basketball, a 2-point lead. Jim Nance, Billy Packer. Billy, the pressure points, the Packer pressure points down the stretch in this one.
Well, without question, if I'm Michigan on this possession, I am going to take the time to get the ball to whoever Christian Leitner's guarding. I'm going to make him have to guard somebody because he's got 4 fouls on him, and he's the one guy that Duke can not afford to lose because he's so good on the foul line, and he also is the guy that you know can make the big play offensively. Let's see if they try to do it. Duke double teaming.
Juwan Howard to tally.
And they've got Grant Hill playing on Weber. So in any case, you've got to force Leitner and Grant Hill to guard somebody on this possession.
Got 12 on the shot clock.
It doesn't look like Howard's even looking for the ball.
3-pointer Weber.
Oh! That's the thing legends are made out of. Grant Hill right in his face.
Hurley.
Oh, how about that, young man?
Again, answering with a 3.
Jimmy twisted his ankle again. The ankle that he hurt earlier this season. Duke really having problems with ankle injuries this year.
They trade threes. Michigan remains a 2-point leader.
Last year, the average
down, and so is Bobby Hurley. After nailing a 3-pointer to cut it from 5 to 2, Bobby Hurley landed awkwardly on the floor. And he has been getting some help from the trainers throughout the timeout. Talk about tough. He's staying in there. Billy, I never would have thought it during the timeout.
He looked like he was in considerable pain. Been a tough week for the Hurleys. His brother Danny with that rib injury against Rutgers.
Full court pressure. Timeout called by Rose.
And Hurley is really limping badly out there, Jim. I don't know if he can go full speed. He's going to ask the doctor to work on him again.
Each team left with one timeout now, and he'll be administered to here with some ice. 17 points, 7 assists. We'll take a timeout as well.
Maybe your friend.
Pardon me. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Michigan to inbound under the Duke basket, leading by 2. Billy Duke's about to embark on a vacation for 2 weeks before the next game. They may need that time with the injury list growing. And look at this. Howard called for a timeout on the floor. Possession arrow, though they called it a tied-up situation, and the possession arrow belonged to the Wolverines.
Well, it was
saved them a timeout.
Yes, it did. It saved. Howard did call for a timeout, but the official felt it was a held ball situation. Early pushing off. There's the double team coming on Tally. Oh, Leitner could get a foul. Let's see what he calls. He calls that a jump.
Tied it up, and now the arrow, of course, in favor of Duke. That would have fouled.
No, they're saying Howard got a timeout over on the far side of the floor. That will be the last Michigan timeout. If it would have been a held ball situation, it would have been Duke because the arrow was pointing in their favor.
But you thought it could have been Leitner's
and it could have been a fifth foul on Leitner. Boy, this one came out of nowhere. Here's Hurley doing a great job defensively. Leitner staying right in there. Now, you could call that a foul, but no foul is called. No held ball is called. What is called from the far side of the court is Michigan's 5th timeout.
Let's set the lineup tonight on CBS. Stephanie Zimbalist, Pamela Reed, and George Grizzard star in Caroline, a Hallmark Hall of Fame presentation at 8 o'clock, followed by P.S. I Love You at 10 o'clock. That's tonight on CBS. First, we got to settle this one here. Number 1 against number 18. Both teams 4-0 on the season, and both teams have really blown out their opponents. Duke had won its 4 games by an average of 32 a game. Michigan had not been in any close ones. This is the first time the young Wolverine team will play in a last-minute ball game.
Well, and Jim, I think both teams, from a standpoint of pressure points, have not shown any the fact that they're going to crack it all. I don't think that's been the case at all. I think just the Michigan players probably surprised Duke a lot today in the fact that they didn't go away when they were down 17. This young group is not only talented athletically, got a lot of moxie as well. And of course, Duke being the proud champions they are, they're sure not going to give up.
Duke had 2 surprising dry spells in the second half, going at one time 6:55 without a field goal, and another time 5 minutes without a basket.
And here's Rose, who can throw over the top of a double team.
Remember, Michigan, no timeouts.
Weber!
Oh, he missed the dunk.
And that should be an intentional foul. It is. It's going to be an intentional foul. 2 shots and the ball. And the point I want to make here is Jalen Rose, as opposed to Tally, can split the double team and throw over the top of it, as he did so beautifully there. Watch Jalen. See, he goes right over the top of the double team. The great hands by Weber, and there, without question, an intentional 2-shot.
Ryan Davis with a shove in the back to prevent the automatic 2. But it'll be a 2 free throw situation for Weber and the ball.
Correct.
Ooh.
Now, Michigan, not a good free throw shooting team so far this year. Shooting down in the mid-60s.
No, career high. 5th game for Weber. 3-point advantage for the Wolverines. 1:06 to go.
And if you're Duke, you're going to play hard-nosed defense, but you also have to think, as the clock is working against you here, who to foul. But if you're Michigan, with a 3-point lead, you don't have any need to put up a quick shot here.
Jalen Rose with Hill on him.
And try to delay a little clock.
Oh, Thomas Hill almost forced the steal. Now Leitner forces the tie-up, and Duke has it. Duke possession.
Boy, Leitner. And there's Jalen Rose going after Leitner a little bit. And Leitner's mouthing back. Now, here's why I think that Duke has lost their cool. You know, as a veteran club, they shouldn't be responding to that kind of mouthing off. But they have. They're down 1 possession, down 3. They can go inside, still play hard-nosed defense, because with 56 on the clock, they can get it back one more time.
Bad pass. Talley on the floor. Weber has it. Hurley gets it right back. And a foul against Michigan. Third on Weber. Oh.
Boy, you talk about some explosive action there. Not a good pass by Davis. Picked off. Hurley almost pulls Talley to the floor. Great job by Talley getting away. Then great hustle here by Davis, staying on the floor. Then Hurley with great hustle again. Talley is hurt.
Got a cut on the hand. And the Duke team huddles with Krzyzewski as they have a spare minute. Hurley will be shooting a 1-and-1 because that was only the 9th foul against Michigan. 1 foul away from a double bonus.
Jim, who said that regular season doesn't mean anything? Boy, they're going after it. Talley's going to have to. He's going to have to sit. We won't see any more action out of Talley today. Bosco back in, who has done a fine job. That means that Rose and King will be the ball handlers.
Krzyzewski says this is the end of the first season. He split it up into 2 seasons with the long break ahead.
But he didn't envision walking out of this place behind.
Down 3, a 1-and-1 for Hurley.
And you know, Jim, when you talk about the regular season, remember last year, even though Duke was the national champion, they played North Carolina that last game for the ACC championship and lost by
22
points. So there are multiple seasons on your way to a national championship.
In fact, Duke lost 7 games in all last season, 32-7. Now within 1, double teaming Howard. They get it to Rose. Oh, and they called a backcourt foul.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yep, to deny what would have been a sure 2 by Jimmy King.
Good call by the official. Smart play by Hurley and a smart play by Rose.
That's the 9th foul against Duke, a 1-and-1 for Michigan. Crisler Arena celebrating its silver anniversary. And this year they brought the students closer to the court. And this place is really loud, Billy. Steve Fisher was really impressed last year by the Cameron crowd, and he's been talking about it ever since, trying to get his students more intimate with the game.
Well, there's the man, of course. His very first head coaching experience here at Michigan took him all the way to the national crown.
Oh, what a 1-and-1 for freshman Jalen Rose with the lead to 2. All 13 points in the second half for him.
Jim, you talk about multiple seasons, of course, in the Big Ten with no postseason tournament. You have to feel this club is going to be in the thick of things for the regular season championship.
Duke needs a 3 to tie. Will they go for the 3 or the 2, Billy?
I think they'll go down inside. I'd get the ball to Grant Hill again.
Leitner takes the 3, and Grant Hill saves it. Right to Hurley, another 3. And he was fouled. Hey, Billy, 3 shots.
3 gets 3 shots. Not a good play.
But give credit to Grant Hill after the Leitner miss, just to tip it back outside and keep it alive. 4 on Weber. It's the second time Hurley's drawn a foul, launching a 3-pointer.
Well, you can see that Weber came right over the top of the solid screen and hit Hurley. Now Hurley, when he was fouled, was inside the 3-point line. But the point is that he took a shot from outside the 3, and that's why he's going to get 3.
He can tie it with all 3. 20 points for Hurley. 2 free throws away from tying it with 32 seconds to go.
You know, it really helps you to shoot 3 in a row because you get in a rhythm.
Well, he made 2 on the previous trip, shaken off the pain from an injury in the game's final minutes to tie it.
They don't have any more timeouts.
Oh, what's he doing? Right to...
Oh, what a block.
What a call this is. Duke basketball. Weber tried to throw it in off of Leitner's leg. He couldn't call timeout, Billy. No timeouts to spare. They're going to have the 5 count called on them.
Well, remember a couple of times they got timeouts when they were trying not to have held ball situations, and that ate up their full 5. So Weber had nothing left to do other than try to throw it off Leitner's leg. And Leitner very wisely did a split on him, and there was nothing there. Then Weber comes back with a great block again. The ball gets away, and it's going to be Duke ball.
Well, Duke called a timeout. They have possession of the basketball. No timeouts remaining in this game. Both teams have used them all. The #1 team having fought back from a 5-point deficit in the last 2 minutes to tie it. Now will have the last shot to win it.
Jim, you can expect Duke to spread things out here. Take it down for that last shot. They're a good free throw shooting team. Weber with 4 fouls on him. Leitner with 4. Grant Hill with 4.
Rose kicked it on the inbounds pass. Duke with its 5 starters in the game. Hurley, Hill, Leitner, and Davis.
Rose is tough to get that ball out. He's so big.
And Davis.
See if they go to their 1-4 set.
Grant Hill out high.
They're wanting Hurley with that ball in his hand, you would assume. Getting down about the 15-second time. Dribble penetration.
Under 10. Hurley pulls back. Shot is blocked. Weber has it. This would count. Oh! He beat the buzzer and almost made it from outside of the midcourt stripe.
Well, Hurley got fouled on that jump shot. You'll see it right here. He gets hit on the arm. No call is made. And then Weber, and he tried a couple of these yesterday at the end of practice. And, Jim, I saw him make about 2 of them from the half court. You can see it's a shot that he was very comfortable with. That came right off the rim.
To that same goal, too.
Yes, sir.
We're going to overtime. Duke and Michigan headed to overtime in Ann Arbor.
McDonald's welcomes you to Neverland from certificates and $5 book.
2 of the last 3 national championships. And the last time they played on this floor, they went to overtime. That was in December of '89 with Michigan winning it, 113-108. Headed to overtime again, 5-minute overtime. Each team will be given 1 timeout.
Jim, it was December 21st, 1965. I mentioned that great overtime game in which Duke came back and finally won in overtime, 100-93, with Jack Marin having the big game against Cassie Russell.
Leitner and Weber. And just as the game had started, again, Michigan controls the tip. 5-minute overtime is underway.
Halley back in there with his hand all taped up.
His shooting hand, no less. And here's Rose driving the lane, right-handed for the lefty.
Yeah, he doesn't even have a sweat up. You know, he just so cool out there on the floor.
Grant Hill gets his own miss.
And foul. Weber down now. Weber, of course, had a little problem with the knee in October. Slowed him up a little bit. He's back up off the floor now.
That was on Michael Talley. That's 5 for Talley. He has fouled out. Don't forget, Billy, Weber has 4. He was in the area, and they called it on Talley.
You know, I don't believe Rose has picked up another foul since he got those 3 quick ones in the first half, has he? He's still only playing with 3. He's learned a lot today in terms of not penetrating too far.
Well, Steve Fisher told us yesterday we look to Michael Talley for leadership, and they'll have to go the majority of this overtime now without him. 4:30 remaining, first overtime. Grant Hill to shoot 2.
Now, Duke's a team that lives on the line. They came into this game shooting 76% and had already been to the line 160 times. And that was just in 4 games. Yeah, so that's 40 free throws a game.
23 of 28 today, Duke.
Hill trying to force him to use that right hand some. He's trying to take away his left side.
Lefty on lefty. Thomas Hill.
Good screen.
Howard picking off Thomas Hill. Rose from the corner.
And 2 men with 4 fouls down inside. Grant Hill on Weber. They got to get the ball to Weber some against him.
Again, 4 freshmen on the floor for Michigan, plus James Voskuhl. Here's Weber.
There he is.
Soft touch. No, in and out. Put it high off the glass. Hurley goes into the stand, saves it to Rose. Air ball.
Oh, that's going to be Weber's 5th.
Goodbye. Weber with his 5th, reaching in on Leitner.
But Weber realizes he has to know it's his 5th. He's going to come out of there. Errant shot by Rose, and the man of the hour again, Christian Leitner, goes to the line.
But Billy, what a debut before the nation. Many seeing him play for the first time. Chris Weber, 27 points and 11 rebounds. Plus 4 block shots.
And there are the 4 freshmen huddled around each other. You just have to envision this club, Jim, as the year goes on, getting better and better all the time. I mean, Riley going to come in for him. Riley played an excellent game so far coming in off the bench. But a lot of difference between Chris Weber and Eric Riley in regard to finishing a play.
So it'll be Eric Riley and Howard underneath, along with Voskuhl. Rose and King in also at guard for Michigan. 2 free throws coming for Leitner. Well, you talk about how this team in Big Ten play as the season progresses and to get better and better. We saw Indiana last week. How do you see this team stacking up against the Hoosiers, Billy?
Well, it'll be very interesting because Indiana, I think, with their perimeter game and movement will cause some problems, but Michigan is going to have much more power on the inside. It'll be quite a contrast.
Duke slapping it out of bounds.
You know, Jim, we talk about Duke going to the foul line a lot. Back in 1990, they went to the line 888 times, which is an NCAA record. So it's part of Mike Krzyzewski's makeup as a coach to make sure you get on that line a lot.
Christian Leitner has a lot to do with that. Down 2, Michigan. 3:29, Voskuhl. Rose on the follow. Oh.
Caught it with his right hand, put it back up with the left. And again, part of Duke missing that other big man today in Cherokee Parks. Nobody on the weak side to rebound.
Pumping it inside, Leitner over Riley. Oh, a block. That's what they wanted at Michigan. A foul called on Riley.
Boy, Duke really looking inside to Christian Leitner now.
3 on Riley.
Jim, this young man has won so many awards, MVP of the Final Four last year, but maybe the biggest award that he won that nobody knows much about, he was picked by USA Basketball as their male athlete of the year. And certainly puts him in great standing to be that guy selected for the Olympic team.
Well, he's also had such a huge commitment to the U.S. international basketball cause, having played just most recently in Cuba on the Pan Am team. That's 12 straight free throws converted by Duke.
Rose again with the head up, playing against one of the best defenders in the country against the dribble Bobby Hurley and getting it up court well.
This time, Leitner again.
Now here's a big possession for Duke. 2-point lead and the ball. See if Michigan can go out and get them, because Mike Krzyzewski going to use a little clock here. Make sure they don't take a bad shot. Experience a factor now.
.20 on the shot clock.
Well, Voskuhl is on Hurley. They've got an opportunity to clear out for Hurley. Voskuhl have his hands full here.
Davis fakes, then shoots. 4-point lead for Duke.
Michigan got caught in a mix match. A little bit of uncertainty with Weber out of the game, isn't there, Jim?
Yes.
You notice that they really don't have a go-to guy down inside.
There's a great pass.
Oh, that's 5 on Leitner.
Yep, Riley draws it.
All made because of a super play by Rose. If there's any question of whether or not this young man can play the point in college, it's been answered here today. Leitner out. Mike Krzyzewski going to go with Lang. And now we get down to some free throw shooting.
24 points and 8 rebounds. So the importance of the loss of Weber for Michigan somewhat equalized now with Leitner out for Duke.
Riley so far this year shooting 70%, 7 for 10. Only 2 men on the Michigan squad shooting over 70%. He happens to be one of them.
Pretty solid on that one.
Very solid. He averaged 8.6 rebounds a game last year, second in the Big Ten.
Well, Grant Hill can really get up at times,
sure
can he?
Now it becomes a matter of Duke trying to go to a slight delay game. They pulled everything out high. When they do this, they look for lobs. Grant Hill, Thomas Hill, Lang, and Davis, all fellas capable of going for the lob. But you have no defensive help from the weak side here.
15 on the shot clock. And Hill says, I'll handle it. Drive and dishing. Thomas Hill back over to him. Baseliner.
Great help that time by Riley.
Here comes Rose. 3 would tie it.
Rose is pretty smooth, isn't he?
Thomas Hill guarding too closely. That's 3 on Thomas.
Well, I can't get over how Michigan's half-court offense changed completely now that Weber is out of the game. They have so much more confidence where they know he's down there in that low post.
With Jimmy King on the line.
Number 24,
Jimmy King had a great first half coming off the bench. Hit a couple of threes from the deep corner, made that great lob.
Fisher able to get him out of the state of Texas, where he was Mr. Texas basketball. And in Plano, Texas last year, his mother insisted that he go to Michigan because of their academic record. Wolverines, fine record here. And Michigan within 1. Under a minute to go. Full court pressure. And someone reached in. I believe it was King.
King reaching in on Hurley. Bobby Hurley with a good split there on his dribble. He gets so low to the ground, it's very difficult if you try to reach, not to foul him. Hurley, of course, a key in this game, not only with the three-pointer that he hit, but also standing on that line when he was fouled by Chris Webber, making 3 in a row. And the foul of on a missed three-point attempt.
I got to think that injury toward the end of regulation was maybe just a cramping situation for Bobby.
I believe you're right, Jim, because they were putting ice and trying to stretch that leg out. Bobby Hurley backs off that line. You don't want to see that.
Three-point Duke lead, 54 seconds remaining.
Why?
Grant Hill.
That's not the pass that you want from Jimmy King on down the court.
Grant Hill runs right into Perry Watson, Michigan's assistant coach.
I think a good move for Michigan here is to get the ball in Rose's hands, have King go out onto the wing and Voskuhl on the wing and look for a 3 on this possession.
Hill again, knocking it out of bounds.
Jim, you notice how little room there is on the sidelines to operate? You know, when you're throwing that ball inbounds, it's really tough for a fellow to get enough room to make a good pass.
Good save. Saved it.
Voskuhl doesn't see Thomas Hill coming.
Great shot. Timeout called. Timeout called by Michigan. the aerospace engineering major, James Bosco, went high into space, then banked it home on the jumper to move within one.
Last year, the average price of a car with
Number 1, Duke. Number 18, Michigan. 86-85, the Blue Devils 8 of 8 from the line in overtime. Having hit now the last 13 as a team.
And of course, the last time they were up here, Jim, it was in overtime. Last year, in their march to the national championship, Duke did not play an overtime game.
How about the strategy now, Billy? Duke has the ball under the Michigan basket.
And they also are in a situation where if they do not take another shot the rest of the game, they can occupy the clock right on out. 40 seconds to play here. So Duke does not have to take a shot, so all this burden is on Michigan to come up with a steal or commit a foul.
Really slapped it over the hill.
If you're Michigan, how far are you going to let it go down before you commit the foul? You don't want it to get it much inside 15 seconds.
Buddy Hunter on Hurley, and now Howard reaches in on the foul.
At 14-9.
Hurley right back to the free throw line.
I think it's a good move to foul at that point if you can't come up with a good steal, because it gives you plenty of time to operate to go down and get off a good shot, and particularly one if Hurley hits any of these free throws from 3.
He's the one guy I would think right now you wouldn't want to put on the line. He's got a nice rhythm going, a little streak going for Bobby. He's made 8 in a row.
Well, sometimes you don't have much choice.
2 shots.
You got a break there. And Jim, you notice how he's backing off the line after he shoots? He may have a nice streak going right now, but it's not the kind of thing that you want to do to keep the streak going. You want to stay right on that line with the shot, not pull away. As he did with that one.
He has just tied his career high with 26 and 10 straight free throws for Hurley. Michigan needs a 3 now to tie it. This man could do it, Jalen Rose.
And remember, Michigan has no timeouts.
Needing a 3 to tie. 5 seconds. Rob Pelinka just in the game, taking it. Almost. That won't do him any good. Duke has done it. Duke coming back from 5 down in the last minute and a half of regulation to send it to OT and remain perfect on the 91-92 season. The Chevrolet players of the game are Christian Laettner from Duke and Chris Webber from Michigan. Check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated to each college's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. Here at Crisler Arena, the final score is Duke 88, Michigan 85. Now to Pat O'Brien in New York.
All right, Jim, thank you. And a gutsy performance indeed when you consider, as Billy and Jim pointed out, that the Wolverines are just out of high school, and a gutsy performance there, losing to the national champions 88-85. Reminder that tonight on CBS, you'll want to stay tuned for the Hallmark Hall of Fame presentation, Caroline, with Stephanie Zimbalist and Pamela Reed, followed by P.S. I Love You. Tomorrow starts your sports viewing day at 12:30 Eastern Time with the NFL Today, followed by a big doubleheader. Most of you will start with the Cowboys against the Eagles, a contest.
16,530 on hand. And the Bulls own an 18-point advantage.
Rose did a great job of palming the basketball.
Got away with a palm.
That'll do well for him in the NBA, but that time he just took it from one hand, put it in the other, and shot.
That's how he did it down in the playgrounds out in Detroit in the St. Cecilia League.
Winters again, nice reverse move in the bucket.
Poor defensive job by Webber. Allowed him to get the ball on the post, afraid to get that extra foul, so he's playing a little cautious.
Webber has 3. Michigan in a lot of foul trouble. Riley already on the bench with 4, as is Freddie Hunt. Tally for 3. Webber. He's fouled on the way in. Tally's shot, we're told now, would have been a 2. His foot was on the line.
Weber made an excellent pass over the top of the defense. Here's Jalen Rose. Oh, there's the carry. There's the carry. Carry the meal. But he delivers, Mike. He does deliver the kid. He gets into the lane and finalizes it.
You don't need big hands if you can carry it like that. Just put it under your arm and take it somewhere. A.C. Earl is back in. What a gamble by Tom Davis with 13:23 to go in the game.
I think he had to make this move. I think he could sense maybe a Michigan little run. That's the one negative of Chris Webber, the free throw line. He is not a good free throw shooter. In fact, this year, one of my scouts told me he's had 3 air balls from the free throw line.
He's 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for 3. And shooting 60% for the year.
He's got to really work on that part of his game and develop that. He's going to go to the line a great deal.
Earl, nice dish down, but Webber gets the block on defense and then leads the break. King can't hit his shot. This is Skinner. Street for 3. Could have tied the game. Here's Barnes. What hustle to track it down. And a nice feed inside from the bucket by Davis.
Davis gets the score on the reverse layup, but it was the great effort by Val Barnes, and then the recognition and the instincts to find the open man. And here come the Hawkeye fans.
It's a 1-point game with 12 and a half minutes to go from Iowa City.
Welcome to Major College Basketball, Michigan. Life on the road.
Rose for 3. Air ball.
Uh-oh. If they take the lead, this place will explode. Uh-oh.
Street.
There it is. Get a timeout, baby. Michigan a TO, baby.
There's no distinction between car